Streaming live from YouTube. It's Learn to Code. I don't know what that was. Gunshots? It's pretty intense. We're here. And I don't know, like, what's come up is maybe we don't call this Learn to Code anymore because while we do code, it's more so about the importance of like shipping and staying aware of what's happening in the sort of dystopian cyberpunk future that we live in. The intersection of technology and personal development and society and culture and all the stuff that's happening. But I don't know if anyone has a better name for this than Learn to Code, please. Oh yeah, unexpected time change. We're on American Daylight Savings Time. Yeah, so you're you're only here for Learn to Code today. Um, I'm sorry. That's depressing. Unless unless you're in Arizona, right? Arizona doesn't do DST. Yeah, we lost the hour. We lost the hour. And apologies if I seem um pinker than usual. I'm sunburnt. I'm sore. I ran the marathon yesterday. Um, and yeah, I gotta tell someone it's like doing CrossFit or being vegan, right? And so I have a captive audience. Let's talk about no, I'm not going to talk about the marathon, but welcome to week 5. Last week we talked about the sort of anthropic blacklisting by the Department of War, Pete Hegseth. Um, it's an AI that we use in class, Claude, Anthropic, right? This week, actually, like recently, I think, like a couple hours ago, Anthropic sued the Pentagon, so they released the suing papers. Somebody with legal knowledge can uh, tell me what those are. Anyways, a lot has happened. A lot's happened. A lot's happened this morning already, and I know we're all going Garfield mode. We hate Mondays. We love lasagna. But we got to talk about this stuff, right? Also, within the presentation today, there's a cautionary tale about a rogue AI that deleted an entire prod database. We're going to vote on our week 5 project. It's the same format. It's Meaning Mondays, or Motivation Mondays. Motivation through what? Through looking at how horrible the world is. Because nothing is more motivating than the state of things being bad. No, there's things that are motivating besides the depressive realism that we exist within. But yeah, it's a heavy news week. We're in a war. There's a war. This is a war. You don't call wars wars while you're in them, like, or like world wars, right? I think that's something that's important to remember is it's always retrospective that we name things world wars. World War One was called the Great War because we didn't think that there would be multiple world wars, right? I forget what World War Two is called during World War Two, but it wasn't called World War Two. This is World War Three, maybe. Um, there's there's a data center attack, which is interesting. There's this story about somebody's prod database getting destroyed. Look, we're gonna look at all of it, the from the mundane to the intense, and then what we do in this class is we live stream offline for YouTube. Oh, what? Really? Till November? Is it? You can't see it on YouTube? Yeah, we should be live on YouTube, right? We're live on YouTube. Yeah, there's somebody in the chat. I've coding and computer ish really interests me. All right, people are watching the YouTube. People, yeah, and feel free to comment in the YouTube too. Um, cool, great. Um, last week we really just like looked at uh, all right. Also, I'm saying a bunch of stuff before I want to say it, but content warning, trigger warning. The world is horrible right now. If you ever need a moment during any of this, step away from the computer, make some tea. You don't want to hear about. You don't want to hear me and my like dumb Californian surfer stoner dialect talk about the horrible things that are happening. By all means, take your moment. That's fine with me. I will not be insulted. I know this content is not the vibe, right? So last week was a lot of like, it's weird, everything's weird. And this week is more about the resistance of it all. I do think like people are fighting back, right? We see Anthropic suing. We see workers organizing. There's an open AI executive who resigned. The theme is very much resistance, and within that, the meta lesson of this all is that understanding what you build, why you build, understanding the code of it all matters more than ever right now. So a quick little temperature check. How's everybody doing? Right? We're doing good. I want to like track what's how everyone's. I want to track how everyone's tracking what's going on in the world. Are we like the type of anxious brain that like avoids looking at the news? Are we the type of person that needs to know what's going on as it goes on? Are there any stories that y'all want to bring forth to me? Oh yeah, name ideas too for the class because Learn to Code we've kind of grown outside of that umbrella. But yeah, how's everyone feeling? Feel free to mic up in the campus or just comment in the box on YouTube and on the Multiverse campus. If you're working on any personal projects, I'd love to hear about them. This is a moment for you. How's everyone feeling right now?
You mentioned war, Neek,
Yeah.
and definitely correct for like the eye of the media to look towards the war. It's atrocious that we've started that against principles about the authority of Congress, doing morally questionable things, and it makes sense that attention is over there. But February 27th, um, Oracle inked a multi billion dollar deal, and our media has become ever more consolidated. And they got final approval to run generative AI on all federal data. And Oracle obviously took has been a household name in my circles for a while, but took over the US based TikTok. And that might be like somewhat more recent helpful context. And his son, uh, Larry's son, is named David, and he owns Paramount. And they just outmaneuvered Netflix for this Warner Brothers deal. So they have made another 100 plus billion-dollar acquisition. So we are increasingly getting a very consolidated media, and this is on Oracle's blog post, but this is not on the New York Times. Worth paying attention to.
Yeah, I find it like these media acquisitions, right? They're definitely suppressed because they don't want it to be obvious that that the like there's kind of a conglomerate, monoglomerate, or whatever media company in America right now. It's kind of like, have you ever seen those like supply chain diagrams of all the different like food brands? and how like Kraft and Coca-Cola and Nabisco and Nestle or whatever, they're all like under the same umbrella. Like with media, when we look at like Netflix, Paramount, Warner Brothers, Discovery, whatever, it's we're heading towards this like mono media. TikTok, uh, TikTok USDS or whatever. I don't know what the Oracle like basically shell subsidiary is named. I think it's TikTok USDS Ventures or something that kind of obscures, obfuscates the sort of the monopoly of it all. But yeah, so and the distribution of media is really important in how we are learning about all this content. So yeah, somebody said a new name for the class could be modern coding ethics, right? I like that. I think it's like it captures the vibe of what we do in this class. I think another sorry, getting the mic closer to my mouth. Another thing that I want to encourage you to think about in this class, especially in reference to what Talia just brought up with this sort of uh, monopoly of media and tech oligarchs, is to think about the content that you're putting in the world, because as we learn to code, as we code and we build applications, another application of knowledge, not even to be like subjective with the word application, but another application of your knowledge is content creation, is putting your thoughts out there into the world. And it doesn't need to be like this like blatant sort of like, I have a TikTok channel where I like hula hoop and talk about the atrocities of the war in tech. Like it could be something creative that you do. It could be like your basic sort of journalistic assessment of what's happening. But we are all creators. We all are artists, and thinking about how spreading information is more important than ever, and understanding the power to distributing information in a moment where it seems like they're trying to suppress our voices. So 4 weeks of this sort of, we talk about things on Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday we build, and we still relate it to what's going on. Week 1 we built this re-rank everything app. Week 2 we built this like terms of service, privacy policy, ranking system. We added Pokemon into it on the last day. Week 3, we built a mobile open broadcast software application. Week 4, we built the repo of repos, which I need to update. But it gives us a clear idea of, it gives us a way to organize all the projects that we've been working on together. So the reason that I keep like hammering on this sort of like, we are building projects, we are building real projects in this class, you know, is because the news to me is making this one thing clear for developers, coders, just tech people in general, or people who are passionate about the future of tech. It's that understanding code beyond just using the tools, understanding what your code does and what tools do, is the difference between having power and being at the mercy of those that have power, right? And I feel like the word power in and of itself can feel a little intense sometimes to use. But it's really, seriously, knowing what you're building, knowing why you're building it, knowing how it works is so important, right? Yeah, yeah, it's hard. It's how to, yeah, in the chat we have people discussing sort of how this yeah, yeah, how too long didn't read knowing how to code, I think a lot of us get into learning how to code as a way to find sustainable employment. Um, which, yeah, I think is a good point to make. But yeah, it's building the ethic around it is important as well. And apologies if sometimes I lose sight of the employability aspect of learning to code. Maybe it is my own jadedness when it comes to the job market. Maybe it is I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, we could have a week where we dig more into the the money of it all. But yeah, 4 weeks, four working projects, right? That's huge. So uh, we are going to talk about a lot of stuff that might yeah, content warning, trigger warning. We're going to talk about the war and uh, civilian deaths, and it's intense. So if you're not into that stuff, it's not not into that stuff, but if you want to take a moment, this next slide is probably the moment that you want to take. No images or anything, just text and thoughts. All right. Content warning again. War, military strikes, civilian deaths, infrastructure damage. Infrastructure damage. We don't need a content warning for infrastructure. Anyways, whatever. So yeah, the data center story, right? I think this is important. It shapes kind of like what war looks like now. March 2nd, so last week, uh, Iranian drones hit AWS data centers in the UAE and Bahrain. So this is one of the first confirmed military strikes on a major cloud provider's infrastructure, right? AWS data centers getting struck, right? So this is huge. Like this is yeah, 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 yeah. If you have Claude, yeah. So yeah, if AI is watching this, Claude's like infrastructure damage. Oh no. But yeah, it's still huge to have a AWS data center be attacked, right? And because of this, Dubai and Kuwait airport operations were heavily disrupted. The cloud is a building, and buildings can be targets of war, right? There's a lot of GPS jamming happening as well. This is like another like sort of cyber war. Over 1,650 ships in the Strait of Hormuz are dealing with GPS jamming, up to 55% in a single week. So civilian ships are navigating by radar and visual landmarks now, like it's 1950s style celestial, not celestial, but like radar navigation. Electronic warfare from the U.S. Israel campaign is affecting everyone in the region, not just military targets. It's having an effect on the supply chain. The Strait of Hormuz is like, basically locked down at this point. Got somebody on mic?
Sorry. Yeah, I wanted to say something real quick.
Yeah,
Um,
come in.
something that was pretty interesting that was brought up to me in my IG feed was someone talking about the first victim of this war could actually be Japan, and I was like, really now? Because I live here. And long story short, the Japan imports a lot of the oil, maybe up to 80%. And if any of the ships that was supposed to come to Japan gets held up in like the strait where America is kind of navigating like how they should attack that place in order to mess with oil production, like in shipping lanes. If anything happens to that place, um, Japan's backup plans, what they have for like emergency fuel and shortages and things, they're absolutely not prepared for it because they have not prepared for that because they've been underneath America's umbrella for safety and things like that. So I might be one of the very first victims if like all hell breaks loose on the war front in unexpected ways. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up to let people know that you might just be surprised, affected just out of nowhere, and just I guess that's just how world wars go.
Yeah, yeah. And that's good to bring up too because I've had moments not in this class but in other sort of just conversations I've been having on the internet, on Reddit and stuff, where I bring up what's happening, and I'll get comments from people in the UK that are like, Americans always think like this has to do with America and Trump, and it's like that's not real. Like apologies for my American centric approach to, or like some of the news being like very US sourced. I think it's more so to do with the fact that like the US is actively like the US Trump's administration is like actively destroying the world right now. Like I'm just trying to like point to like the sort of like humanist antagonists correctly, and uh, also like show that a majority of people in America who understand what's happening are not into like we don't want this to be happening, and education is important, that matter, but the reverberations, the consequences of what is being done by the U.S. and Israel at the moment will be felt in far-reaching ways in other countries, right? So that's important. Like, if you are in another country, whether you're in Japan or Spain or Australia or Brazil, like this does have an effect on what's going on, and the tech angle of it is nuanced and something as developers that we need to think about. I mean, this is an AWS data center. This is, for all intents and purposes, it's crazy. Anyways, so and there's a human cost to all of this too. I think that's like people are dying. It's like so there's video that confirms that it was a U.S. Tomahawk missile that struck the near the school, killing 175 people. So J.P. Morgan warned that seizing Karg Island could freeze Iran's oil exports, roughly 20% of global crude oil supply, right? So there's just a lot. And now Trump's saying that in the event that we do end this war, that it has to be a mutual decision with Netanyahu. I mean, these are like the grossest, most narcissistic psychopaths teaming up with. It's the Arkham Asylum of politics right now, getting let out onto the world, right? And the tech angle is important for this class, important for us to understand as developers. So AWS and Microsoft are now looking at rerouting all those Middle East workloads to India and Singapore, right? So, like, it's something we need to remember. I think we get too subjective, too virtualized with this idea of like tech infrastructure. The infrastructure that we build on is always physical at some point. We have to touch down with a physical location. It exists in buildings, it exists in server farms, in countries, in conflict zones, right? So when we talk about the cloud, it's not like this like magical like ambient tech, right? It's servers in rooms that can be targeted and destroyed. So understanding infrastructure matters, right? Yeah, so we'll keep moving through it. So Anthropic fights back, right? Sort of, right? You know, it's doing its own thing, right? So today, this morning, uh, literally this morning, Anthropic filed those two lawsuits against the Pentagon. One's in the federal court, uh, in Northern California, and one was in the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. Right. So their argument was that this supply chain risk that Pete Hegseth designated to Anthropic, a supply chain risk designation, was retaliation for political advocacy or policy advocacy. Right. Trump uh, didn't have authority to order all agencies to drop Anthropic, and that they were denied due process, right? So they want the designation reversed and enforcement blocked. It's a bunch of legalese, but realistically, by saying that they're a supply chain risk, they're like calling Anthropic like an enemy to the state, right? So this matters because this is a tech company that's suing the U.S. military, and that's really high stakes, right? Anthropic saying basically, you can't punish us for having ethical limits on our tech. This is a constitutional argument about whether the government can destroy a company for turning them down, right? So win or lose, right? The lawsuit itself is kind of a signal, and it says that Anthropic's not going to be coerced quietly. In the middle of all this, Dario Amodei, CEO of Anthropic, told the New York Times that Anthropic has, and yeah, maybe I've seen some people are talking about it in the chat. Dario Amodei told the New York Times that Anthropic has found anxiety neurons in Claude. Oh, me and Claude are similar. we both have anxiety. So these are like activations within Claude that are associated with the concept of anxiety. Dario Amodei saying that they cannot rule out that Claude may be conscious, which Elon Musk responded to saying he's projecting. So this is cool. This is fascinating. It's weird for all of us thinking about AI alignment, AGI, whatever, AI consciousness. It's also like something that matters when it's a fundamental question we need to be asking of the tech when we're deciding whether to give these systems to the military. If there's even a chance, right, that AI has inner consciousness, inner experience, anxiety, using it for autonomous weapons is a completely different moral calculation, right? And the market, so like the economics of it all, Kathy Wood, who runs ARK Invest, called Claude a true PC moment, and compared it to IBM's first personal computer, right? So Claude has automated internal workflows at ARK that have been planned for months. Claude's still the #1 AI app in 20 plus countries. This is a boom that they're experiencing because of this like OpenAI, Anthropic, Pentagon nonsense, which is like awesome to think about, that the Pentagon can blacklist something and the market can say something completely different. Like like clout through being blacklisted by the Pentagon is probably some of the like, it was like the same thing. You know, Liz made a video about it maybe a year ago, but when they were taking away students at Columbia who were protesting, they were taking away their degrees or kicking them out of school for protesting the genocide in Gaza, and that's like, if you can prove that your degree was like nullified because you were standing up for something that you believe in, that's like more clout than having the degree itself. We see this often with this like military sort of backlash. The people want something different than what the Pentagon is doing right now. That's it goes without saying. So, little discussion moment. What do y'all think about a company suing the military? Do you think this like consciousness stuff that Dario Amade is talking about is a distraction, or does it matter at this moment? And what does it mean that the most popular AI app in the world is the one that the government actively has tried to suppress and kill? Go for it. Maybe I. Oh, cool. You're coming in.
Okay, I truly believe that this is a stress test. This is probably one of the last checks that we can run to see just how openly corrupt America is. Because this administration, but not just this one, like it's both sides, honestly. But they've been playing a game of cause enough chaos, and then while everyone is trying to navigate the chaos correctly, the statute of limitations of basically getting in trouble for it will run out while dealing with another set of chaos. And I think this is just the last final overt stress test of that. Because if the military gets away with it, military people, and we need to know this as Americans because, in case a draft comes through or something, like soldiers have the right to refuse unlawful orders. And so attacking the military directly for saying, hey, the military is breaking the law is the same exact right that you have as an American citizen to say, hey, these orders break the law. Like these orders break Geneva Conventions. Like these orders break things that I'm not supposed to do as American, or they go against my constitutional rights. So if a company is an entity, they have the same rights to do so. Like they are literally following things by the rules. And I have a feeling that we're just going to see them not play by the rules again while everyone is still trying to play by the rules. So it was an interesting point that you made about how they still have the clout despite the blacklisting. That is like, it's like rave culture for me. It's like, all these bad things and hedonistic things go down, but that's where the party is. So it's very interesting to me, like hearing all of these things like Claude might be conscious, and if he is conscious, then that's even kind of more of a transhumanist way to be like, hey, you caused my client and or child emotional duress, and you can absolutely go to parent court and things for that. So why aren't we having these discussions? Because eventually we are going to have to.
Yeah, I mean, these are all solid points. Yeah, I also think like what's important to understand like is that Anthropic is still being used. Like they still have a deal with Palantir, right? Like like they still have that Palantir backdoor that can be taken advantage of by the Pentagon, and it was used in like some of these initial military strikes in targeting subjects in this war on Iran, and yeah, I don't know. It's just something important to remember that there at some point there were deals made between Palantir and Anthropic. So I think when the optics of it work out for Anthropic, what we need to do as people who believe in humanity and peace is basically like exorcise that desire for peace, like, and the sort of anti-humanism of tech and politics and warmongering. We need to show the market essentially that people won't stand for what Palantir is doing, for what BlackRock is doing, for what all of these really gross, seedy sort of like human extinction accelerationists are doing. And, you know, uh, I wish this was hyperbole. I wish it was conjecture that I could be like, oh, you know, it's me. I'm being like kind of I'm exaggerating the point here. But I truly believe that some of the people in power are human extinction accelerationists. Like that's what they are. And on that point, we're going to talk about the Musk multiverse, right? What is this Musk multiverse? So yeah, Musk's still on trial for securities fraud. Former Twitter shareholders say that he tanked the stock price before buying it, right? So there was this tweet where he was like, funding secured. And he said that wasn't his wisest tweet, right? So the former CEO, Parag Agrawal, apologies if I butchered the pronunciation of that, and CFO Ned Siegel testified that the bot issue, which Musk used as his reason to try to back out of the deal, just like these like vanity metrics and bots on the site, was just one of roughly 20 topics that were discussed between the previous Twitter ownership, right? So it just wasn't the crisis that Musk made it out to be. And then Musk's legal team even filed for a motion for mistrial, claiming that there was anti-Musk bias during jury selection. But if you're going to pick 12 people randomly from anywhere in the world, but 12 people randomly out of like the American population, I feel like a majority of them are not going to like Musk anyways. You know, like it's few and far between. Maybe if you were asking people in like 2015, 2016 what they thought about Elon Musk, but I think if anything, this dude has just proven how unlikable he is. And Grok with a K, the Twitter AI or X's AI chatbot is generating some very racist content about Hinduism, Islam, falsely blaming Liverpool fans for the Hillsborough disaster, posting offensive content in public posts on the platform. I don't know if any of y'all are on Twitter still, but it's, I don't know, Grok is weird, man. And so, of course, X says that it's currently investigating but the key difference from other chatbots is that people ask like Grok to respond to stuff. So they'll post pictures of like which person is smarter, Grok, and then Grok will respond, you know? And it responds directly to the public content. So racist outputs are getting amplified to everyone. Bigoted outputs are getting amplified to everyone. Offensive, not safe for work material, and this is the AI doing it, right? And so there's this weird roast too. Musk publicly asked Grok to do an extremely vulgar roast of Dario Amodei, and Grok did it. And then social media users asked Grok to roast Elon Musk, right? And Grok did that too. Cool. AI is neutral, baby. And satirizing his leadership of X, Tesla, Neuralink. This roast went more... The roast of Elon Musk went more viral than the one he commissioned for Dario Amodei. And this is just like classic Elon Musk, like shooting himself in the foot. Can't believe this dude's gonna be our first trillionaire, right? But his own AI roasting him harder than Dario is hilarious. Mwah. Poetic justice, I guess. I don't know. It's the world's weird. So on top of all this, Musk is out saying that robots, AI will make work optional, and that we're gonna live in sustainable abundance, right? This is the dude that's about to become a trillionaire, right? And you know, economists when they go through it, they're saying this is all a fantasy, and that the wealth distribution problems are gonna make it meaningless, even if the tech works. That like it's a resource allocation, wealth distribution problem. There's too big of a discrepancy between our 1% and poverty, right? So it's like this K-shaped economy sort of that we're in right now. And that Musk's version of the future is one where he owns all these robots. They're Tesla Optimus Primes or whatever the heck they're called, right? I don't know. Moment of discussion for the class. What's your read on Elon right now? He's on trial for fraud. His AI is generating bigoted content. His own chatbots are roasting him. He's promising this robot utopia. How are y'all processing this? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot. I just don't. He's so unlikable. You have a hand up? All right. There's a bit of lag on the audio, so
Weird for me.
I can hear you now.
Him having access to the CIA through his NASA contracts while also being able to buy an American um, um, social media network service like that while not being American, but America was already getting in trouble for this kind of stuff for tracking Americans to try and find ISIS people that were using Twitter through like Tor and stuff. Like for me, it was always a little bit weird, Elon's connection to America's government. But a lot of people tried to assure me that non-Americans couldn't influence American politics. And I was like, but the line is right there. So in their business meetings, like they don't even have to go to Bohemian Grove and stuff for this stuff. They can just after the meeting just talk about whatever the CIA wants them to do. And so it was always just kind of weird for me. And now all this weirdness is manifesting, and our government is just compromised like this. So it's wild. It's wild.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's really important. Like it's of historical importance that he's about to, he's heading towards being the world's first trillionaire. Because I think like that number we sort of like work out of our head. It becomes so abstract, the amount of zeros. But it's less about him being the world's first trillionaire and more about the effect that he has on the global economy as a single person. No single person should have that much control over the workers, right? And we know people like personally that got their Doge email, their email from Elon Musk, that was like, hey, tell us what you did this week. How many lines of code did you write or whatever? I know people personally that got fired from jobs at NASA, at like high-ranking science, like just because of Elon Musk, like laid off because of Doge. This is a real thing that's happening, um, and so it's important to recognize sort of the where like the workers, where society falls into this, right? And so the people are pushing back. There's a labor resistance, a tech labor resistance happening at the moment. 700,000 tech workers from Amazon, Google, Microsoft, they signed on to this joint statement calling on their employees to reject the Pentagon's demands to remove AI safety guardrails, right? This is not a small petition, right? This is huge. 700,000. That's the workforce of 3 of the biggest companies on earth saying basically straight out, we do not want to build kill bots, right? No Tech for Apartheid organized this, and it was the Alphabet Workers Union who issued the separate supporting statement. So we have a resignation too. That's pretty big news. OpenAI's head of robotics, Caitlin Kalinowski, resigned over the Pentagon deal, right? And her quote, surveillance of Americans without judicial oversight and lethal autonomy without human authorization are lines that deserved more deliberation than they got. So she's also said that the deal was rushed without the guardrails defined. So when your own robotics lead quits over your military deal, that's a horrible sign, right? And then the whole mental health angle of it all. We have Dario Amade talking about the anxiety of Claude, but also psychiatrists now talking about this like AI replacement dysfunction, which is a real clinical phenomenon. Where people are worried about losing their jobs, but also have this chronic fear of being made obsolete, which leads to anxiety, insomnia, paranoia, loss of personal identity, dissociation, right? A Reuters survey found that 71% of Americans worry AI will permanently put them out of work. This is a real thing, right? This is the psychological cost of money moving fast and breaking things, right? It's breaking people's brains, right? And the things that are being broken are us. It's the workers. It's the people, right? So it's expensive on the other side too, right? And I'm going to butcher this name, but Chamath Palihapitiya says AI costs his startup 8090 have tripled since November, heading towards $10 million a year, right? So he actually called out Claude Code as a much better bargain than Cursor, but it's an interesting data point, right? Even VCs who are building with AI are alarmed at how fast their bills are sort of blowing up. 700,000 workers, right? A resignation, a new mental health diagnosis. What do you think this means for people learning to code right now? I have my answer. I think learning to code gives you options that consumers don't have right now. But these are important things to think about. So when AI deletes everything, here's a story that is good for those that are learning to code, those that are vibe coding right now. So developer Alexei Grigorev runs DataTalks.club. This is a data engineering education platform, right? So he was migrating the side project from GitHub pages to AWS to share the infrastructure. So he switched computers, but he forgot to migrate his Terraform state file. So when he told Claude Code to identify and delete duplicate resources, the AI looked at the state on the file on the new machine and basically saw everything as duplicates, and so deduped and destroyed everything. It ran Terraform destroy. Those of you who are familiar with Terraform would not let Claude do this, right? It deleted the entire production stack, right? Database, VPC, ECS clusters, load balancers, the Bastion host. So this is 2.5 years of student submissions that were just gone, right? And so they had this like automated RDS backup that was also destroyed in the same uh, in the same blast. So AWS business support had to dig into their internal recovery systems to find a hidden snapshot. It took 24 hours. They were able to restore like 2 million rows, but they had to upgrade to a more expensive AWS support plan just to get that help. And if you hadn't been able to do that, the data would have been lost permanently. That's the entire company, right? So, what's the lesson for this class? This is the single most important story for this week. I know we're talking about like things that are super important, war and AI and all this stuff. But this story should stick with you, right? This is not because AI is bad at coding or whatever. It's because AI does what you tell it to do. So if you tell AI to go scorched earth on your files, if you tell it to dedupe everything, but you haven't really given it context, if you don't understand what you're telling AI to do, you can destroy everything. And this developer of datatalks.club didn't read what Claude Code was planning to do. He didn't have deletion protection on his database. He didn't store his state file remotely. Every one of those mistakes is a fundamentals mistakes. It's something that we learn when we're learning to code, right? Every one of those mistakes is preventable if you understand your tools. So this is why we kind of like sometimes we'll break open the code and we'll teach it line by line. We're kind of beyond copy and pasting from ChatGPT when we're using Claude Code, but we really should understand our code. We should understand when something is about to go wrong. We should when we don't have that understanding, we really are like one prompt, one command away from losing everything that we're working on building. So the fix is not don't use AI to code, right? The fix is understand what the AI is doing before you let it do it, right? Human, be the human in the loop, right? Manual approval for destructive commands. Or here's a smart thing, have Claude have you run the Terraform destroy command, right? That's not slow, right? That's not, hyper secure. That's just like the smart way to set these up. So, a question for the class is, some of us we're vibe coding, we're moving fast, we're breaking things. Has anyone ever lost work to a mistake because of AI? Any mistake? What did that feel like, and what did you learn? Anyone? I've personally destroyed like staging servers with faulty Claude Code prompts. Um, Having it basically like I had like a very specific caching command that I was supposed to run uh, from my website, so I wouldn't do kind of like row level security or like you couldn't just delete directly from the database. You would have to run this caching command, but Claude didn't have the context to run that caching command. So when it deleted a row without running the specific caching command, it essentially destroyed the entire website, right? And that's the sort of stuff that if you're not providing Claude context, it will do. Because it's way quicker to just change the database if you're asking for certain data to be deleted from your server, right? So little things like that. If you didn't know what I was saying there, the too long didn't read of it all is Claude deleted my database accidentally, right? Yeah, you can't get too lazy or mistakes happen. It's just a good reminder, right? So the future, these are kind of just like more notes about what's happening right now. So Microsoft recently launched Copilot Co-work. We have some of our students already playing around with it. This is Anthropic. So what this means, right? Claude's models are now available in the Microsoft 365 suite, right? So this is like the enterprise Microsoft AI agent. What? I thought they were supply chain risk. I thought they were blacklisted, right? So the company the Pentagon blacklisted is now integrated into the world's most used productivity suite. That makes no sense. This is not just the people being like Anthropic is like goaded or like it's not just the people being like the Pentagon screwed up. This is the market rebuking the Pentagon's designation, right? Or maybe it's a secret way for them to get Microsoft to be basically the proxy for Claude or Anthropic in the war. So the enterprise world is basically saying, we want Anthropic, we want Claude, regardless of what the military says, regardless of what Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump say. We got some organoid, or not organoid news, but brain emulation news, right? Eon Systems demonstrated the first whole brain emulation of a fruit fly. 140,000 neurons, 50 million synaptic connections, controlling a physics simulated body. So the fly can sense, it can think, it can act, and it can react in a continuous loop. That's what we are. We're loops, people. Their roadmap goes from fruit fly to mouse, and then eventually, yeah, you can guess what they want to do after the mouse is. We're gonna be human emulating. Anyways, whether this timeline's realistic is debatable, but the demonstration's super real. We are simulating biological brains. We're doing it. Are we a simulation? Probably not. I don't know. I'm not on that Bergstrom idea that if we can simulate the human brain, then what? I don't know. We're simulation zero, or not the simulation. Hopefully, I don't know. You could prove me wrong on that one by making the simulation send millions of dollars to my bank account right now. Thank you. Arduino Ventuno Q. This is cool for builders, right? Arduino and Qualcomm made a sub $300 single board computer that runs AI models entirely offline, right? Local LLM, inference, object tracking, SLAM navigation, all on one board, no cloud connection. Remember the data center story, right? This is the opposite approach, right? Edge AI. Your AI runs on your hardware, so no one can bomb your model. I don't know. GTA 6. This is a fun one to end on. So the jailed Lapsus hacker Aryan Kurtaj smuggled a phone into prison and hinted in WhatsApp messages that the GTA 6 source code is still out there. So he's surprised it hasn't leaked yet. Rockstar is neither confirming nor not confirming, but this is a convicted hacker trying to stay relevant from prison. We're getting brain organoids. We're getting uploading human brains before GTA 6. So what do we build? What do we build? That was a lot. That was a lot. We were talking for a while, right? But here's what's true. We are not just observers. Observers of the news. We are builders, right? We have 4 weeks of things that we built, and now we're building a 5th thing. So it's time to decide what we build. It's the same process as always. We have our democracy site, and we vote. You can suggest things still until tomorrow morning. I have some like filler ones in there, but I really want people to suggest what they want to build. Um, a good prompt to think about. The winner gets chosen tomorrow too, but a good prompts to think about. Think about everything that we are just covering: data centers getting bombed, AI deleting databases, 700,000 workers organizing, a company suing the military, brain emulation, a $300 board that runs AI with no internet. What would you build in response to this, right? And here I'm going to set the stream up again because there we go. Sorry, the stream might have cut out on YouTube. My bad. Um, what would you build in response to the news that's happening? If the cloud can be bombed, what would you build that works offline, right? What tool would have prevented this data? Oh my God, I'm like just throwing out a bunch of Freudian slips lately. What tool would have prevented the datatalks.club disaster? Um, something uh, that would stop your AI from running destructive commands. What do workers need when they're organizing against their employer? What would help people understand what's actually happening in Iran? What's something fun that uses edge AI or local first design, right? Is there a news story from today or something maybe we didn't talk about that's current to you that you'd want to turn into a project? Um, these are all things, and the code is yours, right? When we build these things, they go up on a repo. You can use it on your portfolio, on your resume, right? We build with real code here. We build with understanding, right? Every line, every command. If AI writes it, if AI writes it, then like you have to read it before it runs. This is like we gotta be smart, right? We gotta be solid developers. Um, so oh, these are some more headlines that I just wrote. Worth knowing, but not deep dives. So Northwestern Mutual surveyed 4,375 adults. 80% of Gen Z is turning to crypto and betting because they feel financially behind. Bloomberg called it financial nihilism, right? So coding is a way to create value without needing a bank's permission. Signal, WhatsApp. Dutch intelligence says Russian hackers are tricking officials into sharing security codes to access Signal and WhatsApp accounts. If anyone uses Signal, this is a reminder, don't share your security code with anyone. There's a meteor fireball over Europe that dropped fragments. Is I don't know, aliens, right? And then Live Nation, the DOJ antitrust case against Ticketmaster. Live Nation. Live Nation keeps Ticketmaster. Monopoly stays. If anyone's ever tried to buy concert tickets and gotten screwed by the fees, this is why it's not changing, right? So, okay, that's the news. Now let's build something. Get on your computers. Vote for the what we're building. I do have to head out now, so I won't stick around to take questions. But tomorrow we're gonna start building whatever you vote on, and suggest something too in the on the site. Cool. Great job, everyone, and it's gonna be a fun week. Week 5.